Okay, welcome back everybody, and those of you that are watching over the internet, I think we've got about 160 people or so with us over the internet. We want to make sure that you understand the product, the 5 CDs, 5 DVDs, I think in the first one, six in each, I'm sorry, and then the software that's called Basic Sense, C-E-N-T-S, and you can order this directly on the Charis Bible College website. So it's charisbiblecollege.net, charisbiblecollege.org. Excuse me, I should have let Ashley do this. And where do we go on the website to find it?
The store. It's right there on the store.
Okay, just go click on the store tab. It'll take you and you can order it directly from there. Okay? Sorry?
There's deals if you buy more than, if you buy 2 or 3 sets, there's good deals.
Okay, Ashley's saying that they've got some deals on there. If you buy more than one set, they're making some deals for that. So if you want to take advantage of that, do it. And we'll be doing part 2 out of these 2 days, and it'll be available shortly. Okay? All right. And the price is $75 for this, and part 2 will be $35. All right. Determine your fast track fund. Let me explain what we're going to do. We're going to get out of debt. Now, here's the first thing we have to understand. If you have credit card debt, you have cars, automobiles that you have a loan against, mortgage, student loans, whatever those kinds of debts are, as long as you make minimum payments on them, you're going to be in debt for the rest of your life and part of your kids' lives. There are some credit cards at certain interest rates that it's actually impossible to pay them off with a minimum payment. This is why the Congress about 3 or 4 years ago completely changed that, and now they've upped the minimum payments on the credit cards. Anybody notice it when it happened to you? They raised your minimum payment. Here's the reason, because basically the Congress thought it was deception. And it is, because really there was no way to pay it off. And that's the way the credit card companies want it. They want you having to pay for them the rest of your life. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to have to get out of debt, we've got to go past the minimum payment point. And we do that with what we call the fast track fund. Fast track meaning fast track to debt elimination. So here's what we recommend. Now we've got an example household here. Example, $3,000 a month take-home income gives you a fast track fund of $300. 10%. Notice that the tithe is 10%. I recommend that you save 10%. And our fast track fund is 10%. Those are starting guidelines. So let's say, well, y'all just agree with me for the time being that we're going to do a 10% fast track fund. So if you're making $3,000 a month, your fast track fund becomes $300. Let's say you have a $990 balance on your Visa card. Your minimum payment is $30 a month, and you're going to pay $330 per month minimum. You add your fast track fund to your minimum payment. Everybody see that? I know what you're thinking. Where am I going to get the $300? Hang on, I'll show you. Quit going to Starbucks every day. That'll get you about $175 a month. Now Starbucks is coming after me, aren't they? I like Starbucks too, but good Lord. We call it $4. Everything you get there is at least $4, right? Your balance will be paid off in 3 months. Look at this, guys. You're staring at a $990 balance on a Visa card, and this interest rate, I think, was around 14%. This one I figured on. 14%. $30 a month. You pay the $330 on it. In 3 months, it's paid off. If you pay the minimum payment according to the Visa card, this is real. This is a real Visa card with real interest rates that I looked at. It would take you 10 years to pay off that balance of $990. 10 years is a long time to pay $990 off. You don't even want, hey, do the calculation on how much money they get in that 10 years. Listen, you can buy a house at 4% for 30 years and you'll pay 2.5 times what it's worth. You buy a house for $100,000 and pay a 4% mortgage on it, you're going to pay $250,000 for that home before you get it paid off. Let me ask you a question. If you were out of debt and could pay $100,000 for a home, what could you do with that other $150,000? You could send somebody to college for sure. You can send somebody to Bible school. You can send a whole bunch of folks to Bible school. Right? So here's the way you do it. Here's our debt elimination system. Everybody look. Everybody watch. You pay only the minimum payment on all the other debts you have. Your fast track fund is applied only to your target debt. Now here's what your target debt is. You're going to arrange your debt. The software is going to help you do this. You're going to arrange your debts from the smallest to the greatest. Here's why I recommend you do that. Because if you pay off the smallest debt first, it gives you confidence. It gives you the ability to look at it and say, hey, success. I can do this. I paid off my Visa card. So you start the smallest and you go to the greatest. And so you apply your fast track fund just to the smallest debt, which is your first one. You pay minimum payments on all the rest. 3 months later, it's paid off. We go to the next one. We take the fast track fund and now apply it to that minimum payment, and we pay that debt off in 6 months. We take the fast track fund. See, every time you pay something off, the fast track fund gets bigger. You see why? Because you're taking the minimum payment that you just paid off on that debt and adding it to the fast track fund. And we're going to see this in a minute on the software. So once you do this, guys, you're going to be amazed when I get to the software and show you the real math of this. This is why I'm telling you can get out of debt in 5 to 7 years. And you can be in debt. You can be in bad debt and get out of it. Focusing on your smallest debt first and paying it off quickly will give you confidence and the added motivation of succeeding. When you've paid off your first debt, then you take your fast track fund and add the minimum payment of the next target debt on your list and begin paying it off. You continue this process until all your debts are paid. Now that's pretty simple, isn't it? It's pretty simple to understand. It's simpler to do. Once you've done that, here's what we're going to do. Once we're out of debt, I know I'm accelerating forward. We're going to start the software here just in a minute. Once you've done all that, then here's what I recommend you do. You establish an emergency fund. Emergency fund is 6 months of your expenses. 6 months of your expenses out of debt. See, if you do this today and you're in debt, you're going to have a lot more money in your emergency fund. But once you're out of debt, it reduces that. This example household we used, 6 months of their expenses was $12,680. You apply, look at the fast track fund. How many of you remember we started at $330 with a fast track fund on the first debt? Once you paid everything off, you got $2,407 available. You've been using this money to pay off debts. You say, oh, all of a sudden, now I've got $2,400. I can do what I want to. Still your turn. Wrong. You take that money and you apply it to an emergency fund. It'll take you 5 months to set aside $12,680. Don't tell me you can't do it. Yes, you can. You have to apply what you know. So now you're sitting here out of debt. You got $12,600. What's this emergency fund for? The washing machine goes out. You don't have to put it on a credit card. You need to do maintenance on the automobile. You don't have to put it on a credit card. Instead of, you go to the restaurant, instead of putting it on your MasterCard, put it on your debit card. Why? Because the money's there to do it. Listen, guys, stop paying interest. You got a whole lot more money to work with. A whole lot more money to work with. All right. The money management software is called Basic Sense. Y'all give me just a moment to bring it up, and we'll be on our way. This software that I'm about to show you, we programmed this with my IT department at Global. And the guy who runs that part of our company, Scott Kostelecki, has been with me for 17 years. And he's probably the greatest computer genius I've ever run across. And there's a few of them out there. This guy can do it. He's built a computer system, network system for Global that's second to none. This guy here, let me tell you what I like about Scott. I go to Scott and say, he knows I'm not a computer expert. I'm about past turning one on, I'm a little lost. But you know what? I can go to him and say, Scott, I want this kind of information. Can you get it for me? I can do it. I love guys who tell me they can do it. I just love it. Well, I went to him and I said, I want a piece of money management software, and I want it to be simple. I want it to be functional. I want it money management software for dummies because I are one. I want to be able to do this. I want it simple. So they went and see this first open screen? They did this for me. And you see the big yellow arrow? He comes into me. He's doing the design documents for the software. He comes in with the design documents and I start reading them. And I'm here, but there's no yellow arrow at this time. And I'm saying, Scott, it's not simple enough. I don't know where to start. Isn't he cute? Start here. Now, one of the incredible things about this software is the help desk information that's written for it. Now, let me show you something. When you get your software, you get it installed, and by the way, if you have any problems, because there's a lot of machines out there, you call the technical 800 number, technical support 800 number on the software, and Scott may even answer, but one of his people will answer, and they will solve your problem. If they don't solve your problem, write me a nasty email. Well, don't make it nasty. Okay, they will solve the problem. Now, one of the things I wanted you to see before we ever get started, see this help up here? And this help exists on every page of this software, every screen. You hit this, it says, welcome to Basic Money Management. You've seen this in software, but here's what's great about this. This gives you step-by-step instructions on how to do everything in this software. We have tested this. We've had people use it. We've had, young people, old people, middle-aged people. I've sold, I don't remember now, thousands of these in Britain. I mean, we've used this thing all over the world, and people love it because it's easy to use. See, you got big yellow arrows that say start here. That helps me out. I told him, so you may think he thought he was being cute and funny, and I just laugh at him. I said, leave it in there. It's good. So the clear path to your financial freedom starts right here, and it starts telling you exactly how to do this. Now, I'm going to walk through how you start this. All right, right here, you see this create profile? When you get yours, you're going to push this button right here to create your own profile. Do not do anything else until you create your profile. The software is no good without your profile in it. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So then what we do is, can you imagine I've already got one done? Just so I could show you. This is the Prosper family that we're looking at here. Okay? Notice over here on the right, it says weekly wisdom. I wrote some stuff for every week. And somebody said you do this daily. Well, I was too lazy to do it daily, so I want to do it weekly. That's 52 things. But here's what I thought. You see this every day, it gets in you. Okay? You see it one day and you forget about it and go on to the next one. But what this does is this gives you wisdom and information about financial freedom over here, and it just scrolls the whole time you're using the software. You can sit there and read it. Now, let's go on to the Prosper family. You hit go. Once you got your profile loaded, and it opens up to the My Spending page. Now, let me show you something here. Get it all set up. Here's your little help button right up here, so you can always get to it. It's not showing on that screen, but it's up in the right-hand corner. I may have just popped it out. There, see the help? There's where it's at. If you don't know what to do on the page, pull down the help. It tells you exactly what to do on that page. But now, here's where you start. Look at these panels on the left. My Spending, Spend Tracker, Check Register, Debt Tracker, Debt Eliminator, Update Profile, More Tools. See those? Real big, real bold. For us older folks, eyes aren't so good. Now, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to Update Profile. You're going to pull that panel up. Now, if you'll look under Welcome to Basic Sense, and I know you guys over the internet can't read this small print, but trust me, when you get your software, it'll be very simple to see this and very simple to do it. Now, this panel right here, this little paragraph, tells you what you're going to do on this part of the software. This one says the first step to financial freedom is to develop a plan. This profile wizard will help you do just that. Starting by entering what you're currently spending in each category, be sure to enter all of your expenditures only once. Then look at how your spending compares against the suggested percentages in My Spending. Click Update Profile to adjust your spending and develop a zero-based plan that is flexible and realistic for your family. We're going to talk about that. So it tells you exactly what to do. But now look at this. If I go over here to these arrows, I pull this arrow down, here's all the categories that are in the profile. So let's go to Setup. You can also get to it by hitting these tabs up here. So the first tab here says Personal Data. And this is where your name, your birth date, your address, 222 Debt-Free Lane, Financial Freedom, Colorado, 80897. You're going to retire. This says 65 years old. All that information needs to be put in there. You say, well, I don't know. Put something in there. Decide something and put it in there. You go to the next thing. This is the Cash tab. So this tells you how much cash on hand you have. This is the cash you got under the mattress. Checking accounts, what your balance is. Savings accounts, what your balance is. Emergency account, what your balance is. Any certificates of deposit, total cash. So see, what we're doing is we're gathering your information and establishing what your assets are. Because this software, look right over here, it displays your net worth all the time. Constantly. There's your assets, there's your liabilities, there's your net worth. You say, that don't mean anything to me. It may not mean a lot to you. It means everything to anybody you're going to do business with. Your banker's real interested in it. Now, receivables, this is if anybody owes you money, it goes in here. Tax refund coming, it goes in here. Money owed to you, note receivable. If you got a loan out to somebody. Most of the time, you're the borrower and not the borrowee. Securities, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. Retirement, real estate. There's where you put how much your house, you put what your house is worth in here. Your home, real estate owned. Any other real estate you put right there. It's just real estate. So you have another place for stocks and bonds and so on. Here's where you put your debt. Look at this family. JCPenney's their smallest one at $850, and there's their house at $112,000. They got 2 cars, 2 MasterCards, Visa, and JCPenney's. They're doing well, aren't they? They got a lot of debt. This is where you put it in. You hit the Add Debt button right over here on the right. You hit Add Debt right here, and then it'll come up. Let me show you what it does. You hit Add Debt. It comes up with a panel. And you got to put your new debt in there. Your debt name goes right here. The type of debt, you pull this down, and there's types of debt there that you mark. Here's your current balance. Here's your annual interest rate. Here's your minimum payment. You'll have to go, look guys, you understand, to do this, it's going to take a little work. You got to go pull your stuff out of the drawer. You got to go get all your stuff, bring it into the table or your office or whatever you've got. Take the time to do this. Let me tell you something. You take 2 or 3 hours to do this, it's well worth it. Well worth it. Okay, that's what you do to add a new debt. I've already got all these debts put in here. You see here, here's the minimum payment. Here's the interest rates over here on the right. Here's the balances. There's the debt type it is, and then who the debt is to. Going up here to our tabs, here's our income. Your salary, interest or dividends, any other. Here's your tithes, here's your taxes. You say, well, I don't know what that is. Take your check stub, your paycheck, and look at what it is. If you also notice over here on the right, it has frequency. So if you get paid 2 times a month, you look at your back of your paycheck, and it says my taxes are $655, and you get paid twice a month, and you're going to put the frequency right over here. This particular one, this guy gets paid 1 time a month, so there's 12 times a year he gets paid. If you get paid twice a month, there's 26 times a year you get paid. So you have to put the frequency right over here, depending upon how you get your income. You say, well, my income's all over the map. Do an average. If you make $3,000 this month and $6,000 next month and $2,000 the next month, look, don't do this. Do this. Do it over an average. Here's your automobiles. This is not your auto payment. Remember, any debt goes in the debt column. This is just what it costs you to keep your car. Insurance, fuel, license and taxes, and service. That is what those, and the frequency goes right over here. Notice here on license and taxes, it's 1 time a year. But on services, there's 8 times a year. Now, food, how much you spend in groceries, how much you spend dining out, so on. We're telling it, here's what you're telling the software. This is my spending plan. This is what I'm going to do. Okay? Now let me just tell you a secret. You're committing to that. The software will hold you accountable. I'll show you how. You tell the software, this is what we're going to spend on these items. That's why, listen, you got to get out all your Walmart receipts. And then after you get up off of the floor from fainting, you can decide what you're going to spend at Walmart. If I'd have known what my wife was going to spend at Walmart, I'd have bought a lot more stock in the 70s. Dear God in heaven, what is Walmart? They got something going. Your housing, here's your taxes. Remember, it's not your house payment. That's a debt. It's a mortgage. It's in the debt column. Here is what it costs you to maintain your house. Utilities, insurance, taxes, and so on. Maintenance. Household supplies, clothing. If you can find a category that we don't have covered here, you call me. Health and personal care, insurance, school and child care, entertainment, and so on. Until you get all the way out here at the end, retirement and savings. How much is going into your retirement, your emergency, your savings, gifts given, birthday gifts, holiday gifts, Christmas gifts, and so on. Everything you spend money on, guys. Let me just tell you, here's how serious I want you to be about it. If you go to the convenience store and you walk in there and buy $3 worth of junk, well, good, that's usually good. You go in there and buy that stuff. When you come back to the car, bring your cash receipt and put it in your ashtray. You're not using the ashtray for anything else. Just put it in the ashtray, and then take those out about once a week and go in and post them in the software. Keep track of your cash, keep track of your checks, keep track of your debit card, keep track of your credit card. Keep track of your credit card by going and seeing if it's still in the trash where you threw it. All right. Once we get our profile done, we get this profile done, and we've told the software all the information it needs now to do some really magical things. Now watch this. Here's my spending plan. I'd already gone in this software and told it what we were going to spend. Here's my auto spending a month. That's fuel and everything, $277.92. Housing, utilities, these are the same categories that are in your profile. So you've told it what you're going to spend, and here they show up in your spending plan. Here's my gross earnings. Here's my tithes. Here's my taxes. Here's my EAT. We call it EAT income. Earnings after tithes and taxes. EAT. It's what you got left to eat. Okay? $5,050. And then look down here. Our total spending is $49.34. Now watch this. I go up here and I say suggested spending. Push the button. Look what it does. We did research, went to the government and other agencies, and found out what should people spend in these categories that's reasonable. The average family, this is a family of 4. So if you're 2 instead of 4, you got to make a little adjustment. If you're 6 instead of 4, you have to make some adjustment. You got to find out what it is your spending level should be. Now watch this. Here it tells us what percentage of our expenditure, our EAT income, are we using to keep our automobile going. We're using 6% of our money. The suggested is 5%. So if you look over here, we're $25.42 more than we should be, and it's in red. See, what happens is, here's what we're doing, here's what we ought to do. We're doing 6%, we ought to be doing 5%. Instead of 277, it ought to be 252. There's the difference, and it's in red. Here's one, housing, we spent 302, it's 6%. We're supposed to do it at 7%, so we got a little money left. We got $51.50 left. These are suggested spending guidelines, okay? Now, once you do that, you can take a look at your spending plan in a pie chart. Tells you, who wants to guess what 39% is? Walmart. Debt. And then one little neat thing you can do is you can come right down here in the left corner, right down here, see suggested spending. You hit that block, and it gives you the pie chart for what it should be. Here's a pie chart for what it is. Here's what it should be. What it is, what it should be. Y'all like that? So you're a funny guy. All right, that's the way my spending block works. Now watch this. This is called a spend tracker. This is where the software holds you accountable. See the same categories, income, tithes, taxes, auto, food, housing, utilities, clothing, and so on. All your categories are there that you spend money on. Watch this. As long as it's yellow, you're under what you told the software you were going to spend that month. But if it's turned red, you've spent over. It's like green light, yellow light, red light. Yellow is caution, red is stop spending, and green is you still got some money to spend. Now green, it applies to the income, your savings and income, the things that where money comes in. So if you bring in more money than you told the software you were going to bring in, it turns green. So you can see where your excess cash is. So that you can just open that panel, and with a glance you can see, well, what are those 2 categories on red? Household supplies and insurance. You know exactly where you've overspent. Now, how do we know that? This is the check register. The entries from this module will automatically track your monthly expenses in the spend tracker. The spend tracker where we had the yellow and the red, the one we just looked at, okay? How does that happen? How does it know to do that? Because you've put what you've actually spent, you've put in the check register. So what you do is you add an item right here. You put the payee in there. Let's say it's JCPenney. You write JCPenney a check. The date's 11/7/2001. The category is debt because it's JCPenney's credit card you're paying. And it's a payment, not a deposit. If it was a paycheck, you'd check deposit here. And if it's going to JCPenney to pay on the credit card, it's a payment. It keeps track of it down here, and then so it uses this information to update the spend tracker. So what's important about this software? That you put everything you spend into it. Checks, debit card transactions, cash spending, all of it. Let me tell you something. You know what it takes? If you do this right, it takes you about 15, 20 minutes a week to keep it updated. I've checked all this out with the people who are using it. Doesn't take. Once you get your profile set up and the information's all in there, it goes quickly. All right. There's the check register. Everybody so far understand kind of what we're supposed to do. Isn't this simple? You can do it. You can absolutely do it. The debt tracker. This tracks just the debts. JCPenney, Visa, MasterCard, and so on. Here's what it does. It tells you the balance, the monthly payment, the percentage of the debt, the interest rate, and the percent of the payment of your income. We're paying 43.3% of our income on our mortgage. That's what that tells us. Okay? Now down here, it tells us our total debt. This is how much we owe totally. Here's our monthly payments that we're making on that debt, and here's our total monthly income right here. See this over here, debt to income ratio? This measures the percentage of income that is paid to debt. A lower number is better. 40% or lower is recommended for debt. The U.S. government puts out a thing that says you should not spend more than 40% of your income on debt. You know what? I don't even agree with that. Not even close. That's way too high. But they have to take the whole nation into consideration. This ratio of the family we put in here is 30%. That's what that number is right there. So it's 10% below what they recommend. It's still about 20% over what I recommend. So that gives you that information in the debt tracker. Now, going down, this is the one you're going to like. Debt Eliminator. Now watch this. Here's all of our debts, smallest to greatest, JCPenney to the mortgage. Here's your balance, here's your interest, here's your minimum payment, here's your fast track fund, here's the number of months it's going to take you to pay it off, and here's the date it'll be paid off. What else would you want? Now watch this. Up here at the top is the start date we're going to get out of date. Let me tell you something. This is the date the children of Israel stacked up the stones in the Jordan River as a day of witness. We're going to start getting out of debt this day, right? Fast track amount. This is the amount I talked about in the fast track. So in this case, this family we've got in the profile makes $6,550 a month, so their fast track fund is $655. And then what this date, debt-free date, this is a date you're going to be debt-free. Now watch this. This is the same family that we have in the software. We've already looked at them. I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to put their fast track fund at 10%, $655. Everybody watch the red number right here. When I go enter this, they will be debt-free on the 11th of May, 2016. When are they starting? January 1st, 2011. How long is that? Somebody say it loud. 5 years and what, 4 months? 5 months? I'm telling you that 5 years and 5 months is going to go by whether you get out of debt or not. It's going to happen. Now watch this. This will blow your mind. Our JCPenney debt got paid off in 1.19 months. Our Visa card got paid in 2.64 months. Now you understand these are hard calculations, but it also depends on what time of the month that you make your payment. So this 1.19 may end up being 2 months by the way you pay the debt. Who cares? A couple of months it's paid off. Look at this, guys. You get down here to your vehicle, everything but your mortgage is paid off in how long? 12, 13, 15, 17, 19, 20, about 22 months. In 22 months, everything else is paid off. 2 cars, 3 or 4 credit cards, JCPenney's, the whole thing is paid off in 22 months. It takes another 42 months to pay off your mortgage. 42.98. Now you might be saying, you might ask the question, where am I going to get the $655? I'm glad you asked. Because that is the key, isn't it? Let's just say for a moment, Now see, I know the $655 is already here. You don't know that yet because you haven't done this. Everybody I've ever seen do this found the money within a couple of months. I could come to your house and you could lay all your expenses out in front of me and I could find the $655. It would severely pain your flesh, but we could do it. You wouldn't like me anymore. You'd talk bad about me. Trust me, I can find it. And I can do it in the least destructive way, the least damage. Church, don't tell me it can't be done. There are things that we spend money on that will just shock you. When you start getting your arms around it by doing this and seeing the detail, you'll be shocked at where you spend money. But let's just say you can't. I can only find 300. I can't find 655. I can only find 300. Let's put 300 in here. Now look at our date, 5/11/2016. Everybody with me? Watch when I put 300 in here. Did y'all get it? One more year. Now, all you really smart folks are that his math's all messed up. Let me tell you something. I threaten my programmers. If the math in this thing ain't right, I'm taking your firstborn and cutting her toes off. Because when they first started showing me this, I'm going, what? This is years ago. I said, what are you talking about? Listen, there are some very sophisticated algorithms in this thing. Look at what they have to do to make this work. They've got to calculate all this interest. For short periods of time, they have to figure out how much interest you're going to have to pay and then apply it to every debt going down. It's got to cascade down all those debts. It's a very sophisticated piece of software in that sense. Doesn't look all that sophisticated looking at this screen. Trust me, the guts behind that are extremely sophisticated to get that done. I invite you to check the math. If you're a math whiz or you know somebody who is, go have them check it out. It's right. We've had it tested. I didn't trust them at first. I said, you guys are nuts. One more year. You say, well, I just don't have. And I'm really going to surprise you now. I don't have. If I quit doing Starbucks, that's only $125 a month. Y'all watching the date? 6 more months. Well, what if you're just really hard to get along with? You just don't want to do this, so you say, I'm going to put $1 in my fast track fund. Oh, yeah. Check it out. I dare you. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give anybody in here $1,000 that can prove it wrong. I will. I'll give you $1,000 cash. Now, everybody in here is going to go try to prove it wrong, aren't you? Look, guys, there's a secret to this. Look at what happens now. With $1, it takes 13 months just to pay JCPenney off instead of 2. It rearranges how the debts get paid off. But here's what's happening. Once you pay JCPenney off, you don't have $1 anymore. You have $66. All of a sudden, the snowball starts picking up and rolls it up. You know what this tells you? You got to do something. If you can do 10%, you're going to love it. But if you can't, look, here's the only thing. Stick to the amount. If you're going to do $100 a month, do it. If you're going to do $200, do it. But remember my 7 steps? Focus on the details of your plan. Anybody remember the rest of it? Obey the disciplines of your plan. Execute, persevere, execute your plan. Stay with it. That's the key, guys. Anybody in this room can do this. Don't tell me you can't find $5, $10, $100 every month that goes by. So now it's going to take us, 7 years, a little more than 7 years and 8 months to do that. But I like the 10% better. Go back to 5.5 years. This is something that people have done. Using this system will get you out of debt in short order. Now, let me give you an added bonus. I call it added value. When you start this process, now I can't explain this to you in the natural. It's supernatural. I have emails from all over the world. England, other places that people have done this. Here's what they tell me. After they've proven themselves faithful and done this for a couple of years, God starts accelerating it. You move in faith and all kinds of resources start showing up. God gave us an extra $2,000. We're going to pay it on this debt. You go in, tell the software you did it. We put an extra $1,000 on our target debt this month. Boom, it's gone. And what people will write me emails and say, my thing showed 5 years and 9 months and we got a debt in 3 years and 4 months. Did you know that I've never, now I'd have to go and look to make, but I never remember an email that says, it said I was going to get out of debt in 5 years and I got out of debt in 9 years doing exactly what you told me. You do this, you get out of debt. It's just that simple. Now guys, that software, that's worth the money. What the software does, it's not magic and it's not God. What the software does is it provides a reference of discipline for you to stay after it. It gives you information on a daily basis that keeps you on track. Now let's look at something else. We've got a few minutes left. More tools. I had them put these tools in there just to help you. This first one right here is a retirement calculator. You see this? Now watch what we did here. This is kind of neat. This is small, so I'll have to read it to you. That top one said, this is a retirement calculator. That says inflation rate. Here it says 2%. We put 2%. I have 2% in here because that's about the rate of inflation over the last few years. Annual income desired at retirement. Here's what you're telling the software. I want to make X number of dollars per year when I retire. So let's go in here. How much does somebody want to make when they retire? Be reasonable. Anybody want to make $50,000? Okay. $50,000 a year when I retire. Okay, we put that in. Then we come down here and say number of years you will have to invest. Is anybody in here 35 years old? Close to it. How old are you, Ashley?
33.
What? 33. Ashley and Carly have 32 years left till they're 65, right? They're going to invest. We're going to use them. They're going to do this for 32 years. That's how much time they have to invest. The estimated return on investment, this is how much interest they're going to get on their invested money for retirement. I've got 6% here. You want me to change that? You want it lower? All right. What do you want? 4? Good. Okay, 4%. You can pretty much get 4%. I can show you where to do that. All right, and I'm going to hit the calculate button. And when I do, it's going to fill in all 4 of these yellow boxes right here. Annual, the first one says account balance at retirement. This is how much money will be in the account. Got it? This one over here is how much money it will spend. The 2% inflation, it affects it this way, guys. If this comes up to be $100,000 right here, this over here will probably be somewhere around $50,000 or $60,000. Here's what that tells you. Your $100,000, because of 2% inflation for 32 years, is now only worth $60,000. Y'all with me? That's all the inflation number does for you. This is monthly amounts needed to reach income goal. This is how much money you're going to have to put in the account every month to get to your goal. Okay? That's a pretty neat piece of software. It does all the work for you. You just tell it what you want. So let's go in here and hit the calculate button. And there we go. Here's how much money that they're going to have. Their account balance at retirement will be $1.250 million. Look at this. Monthly amount needed to reach income goal, $1604.03. Now, somebody asked me the question, where are you going to get $1604.03? That's a lot of money, isn't it? Every month, you got to put that away to be able to retire on $50,000 a year. Now, let me ask this question. How long can we draw $50,000 a year? Somebody's smart over here. How long? Yes. In perpetuity. As long as this account stays at 4%, you can do this forever. Never have to worry about running out of money. Watch this. That's $1,604. Let me tell you where you're going to get it. You paid off your debt. Now your fast track fund availability is what? You paid off all your debt. You've established your emergency fund. You've got about $3,000 a month that's now available to invest. Okay? So 1604 is not that difficult to come up with, is it? All right, now, watch this. Let's look at it from another perspective. I'll go over here to the investment income calculator. This time, I'm going to tell the software how much money I have to invest. Let's say we paid off all the debt and we got $3,000 a month. There's our 2% inflation rate. We're going to do it at 4%. We're going to do it for 32 years because it's Ashley and Carly doing this because they're young. This number right here is your retirement accounts and how much money they've already got in it. This particular family that we just did here, let's just say that Ashley and Carly have $12,000 in their retirement accounts when they start this. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to hit calculate. Here's what it's going to tell me. The monthly income at retirement that's available to you and your account balance at the end. Watch this. $7,936 a month in perpetuity. $4,211 because of inflation. That's what it's going to spend like compared to today's dollars. Investment account balance is $2.380 million. $1.263 million is what it's going to spend like 32 years from now. That's a little bit of an eye-opener, isn't it? But let's say, I don't want to use all my fast-track fund. I want to take some of it and go have fun. And you only got 1,600 of it, like we looked at just a minute ago. Now we do 1,600. Look at the difference. $42.99 a month in perpetuity. $1.28 million in the bank. See, the software gives you the power to look at these things, focus on them, and design a plan. Don't worry about doing this until you get out of debt. And see, it becomes a simple thing. If you've been paying off this debt for 5 years, what big deal is it the next month just to start putting it away or in an investment? Why then all of a sudden decide that you've got this money, you can go spend it on what you want to? And you know what? You're saving 10%. You still got money to give. You got a giving fund. All these other things we've already talked about. You got a storehouse established. And this is your storehouse. This is another way you establish a storehouse. Now, the last two things I'll show you, this is just a loan calculator. This is simple. If you want to figure out a loan, it has the principal amount, the interest rate, the terms, the payment, how many payments a year, you calculate it. This is a $100,000 mortgage at 6.5% for 15 years, 12 payments a month. You hit calculate, it gives you the payment, $871.11 a month. That's what that is, just a simple loan calculator. The net worth calculator, here it is. It tells you what your net worth is. It lists all your expenses, all your assets, your liabilities, not your expenses, your assets and your liabilities, and tells you your net worth is $374,315. That's what this family's is, okay? Everybody with me? Anybody got any questions about the software? So, observations, criticisms? Yes, sir.
You said you had an extra $2,000 to put in a accelerated fund suddenly. Does it calculate that for just a month, or it keeps adding it?
No, it keeps adding it every month. You put the same amount of fast track fund in it every month. In other words, you start cutting expenses, you stop going to Starbucks, you quit. Let's say you end up, you've gathered up $200 and something a month that you're not going to spend. You're going to use it as a fast track fund. You do it every month. You put that money in as a fast track fund every month. You pay it on, remember, you pay it on your smallest debt first. You don't have to worry about where to put it. You just put it on your smallest debt. When it's paid off, you go to the next debt. You apply the fast track fund, add it to the minimum payment, pay that one off. Take the fast track fund now. Every time you pay a debt off, the minimum payment that you were paying on that debt becomes part of your fast track fund. You got that? You got.
You said you had $2,000 that month only for, you got a gift or whatever, so that's offset the rest of the, do you do or just that month?
You go into the software and you pay it, you write a check and pay yourself to pay that debt off. You go in the check register, you say, I've got an extra $2,000 this month, I'm going to put it against these debts. And it will automatically drill down those debts. When you go to your debt tracker, it may show 2 of them paid off now that you put an extra $2,000 in it. But the software is built to be able to do that. You can just put the amount in when you get it.
How can you put in there, in addition to your, say you owe money on your car is a liability as far as I'm concerned, it's not an asset.
Right.
All right, how do you never have to borrow money for a car again?
Yes, exactly.
So you set it up as an expense on your software there, and just like it's a payment?
That's a very good way to do it. Here's what I would do. Let's say we've paid ourselves out of debt. You've set up your emergency fund, and you want to be able to buy your cars for cash. So you figure, I'm going to need another car in 3 years, and it's going to cost me $35,000 to buy that car. You go into the loan calculator, figure out how much money you have to set aside every month to pay cash for that car. You've got $3,000 of your fast track fund now that's totally available because you paid off your debt. You've done all these things right. You take $350 out, I'm just picking a number, whatever it is, $400 a month, and you do it just the very good way, just what you said. Put it in there as an expense every month, set it aside, and when you get 3 years down the road, you'll be able to buy that car. But yet, if you need a new car in 3 years, you're going to have to divide that amount by 36 months. You've got to put away that much money every month to get to your $35,000. You can do it. I mean, I know a lot of people who do it. Andrew and Jamie pay cash for cars. But you have to make the decision to do it. Ashley pays cash for cars. You say, I don't think that can be done. You're too late. There's already people that's done it. It's kind of like my mother when she had cancer. Go tell her God don't heal. You're too late. She was healed. You can do that, but that's a very good point. That's the way you want to do it. You want to do it in a disciplined way so that you're held accountable to doing it every month. If you just say, I think I'll set aside $350 a month to buy myself a car, you'll quit about month 3. You'll find something else to do with the $350. It's discipline, guys. That's what it is. Somebody else had their hand up over here? Yes, ma'am.
Initially, when you're setting up a profile, that's when you're being good, honest.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what you've been doing.
Yes, ma'am. Be really honest with yourself. Spend extra time, extra effort. That's where the work gets done. If you'll do the work there, you won't have to do much later. Be really honest. Think about how many times I pull in the gas station, I go in there and spend $3 or $2 or $5. How many times do I run through McDonald's drive-thru? None, I hope. How many times, I do go to Starbucks? How many times, do I spend too much dry cleaning? Could I cut back on my dry cleaning bill? Could I do, whatever it is, guys, you just have to pick your life apart and see where you spend money. But let me assure you this, you've got money to put on this fast track fund. If it's $50, do you see the effect? The effect is dramatic. Just do it. Do it. And you may start now and have $50 a month for 6 months, and then all of a sudden now you've got $100. I can tell you this is what God will do. As soon as he sees you faithful, boom, you got more fast track. You don't know where'd that come from? God. He'll get involved, and you'll start having, then you can do it 100. And once you establish that, then later on you get to be 200. Because here's what really happens to people. They start doing this. Now watch this. They're used to doing this. Here's their income, and here's their debts and expenses. See that? They go along, hope their income comes up, but they keep adding to their debt and expenses. If their income comes up, start doing it our way, here's what happens. See, the income's going up and the debt's going down. You're attacking it from two sides. Your income will go up in 5 years. Why? Because now you're being a steward, and that's what determines advancement in the kingdom of God is stewardship. Hey, if you're faithful over a little, what? Make you ruler over much. Let me tell you why we don't get much. We're not stewards. We've learned to give. We've learned to do some things, and God blesses us. Yes. You add stewardship to there, and your finances will explode. Not maybe or sometimes, or if the weather's nice. It can be snowing. They'll still be good. Amen. Yes, ma'am.
If you're setting aside money for future car repairs, future insurance payments, future property taxes, so that when those bills come in, you've got the cash set aside for it. How is that provided for here? To set aside for future expenses without actually going into paying?
Exactly as this gentleman was talking about here. So tell him what you said. That's
Just set it up to expense.
Okay, so in car repair, let's say you're setting aside $75 a month. But then you actually spend something.
okay.
Just in a slush fund.
Every one of those tabs has an other category. Go in there and put the amount you're setting aside for that in the other category. So you always know your other category is money that's been set aside to pay your insurance at one whack, or to pay your car, buying your car for cash, or whatever the expense is that hits you 1 or 2 times a year that's a large expense, you've already set it aside. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you what this is called. This is called the accrual method of accounting. Every business in the world has to do it. We have to accrue expenses. Your church has designated funds. They have to set those aside. Most of us never learn to do this in our personal finances because we just don't do it. The software will give you, you've got categories in there, other categories that will allow you to set this aside. Treat it as an expense. If you treat it as an expense of money that's already gone out the door, it's much easier to do. 1 minute left, you guys. Anybody got, yes ma'am.
Where do you enter the cash, like the money you're spending on cash, it's not out of your checking or?
In the check register.
Oh, you just put it in.
Put it in as cash.
Okay.
Instead of a check, you put it in as cash. Just take your receipts, spread them all out. You can total them up if you want to. I'd put them in there as individual because then it helps you understand where you're spending money better. And let me tell you something that's not allowed in any type of spending plan. Anybody know what it is? In any spending plan, you never have a category for what? Miscellaneous. There's no such thing as miscellaneous. Because if you have a miscellaneous category, it will become the largest category in your spending plan. Yes, ma'am.
On the check register, if you have two different checking accounts, that'll still work together.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Here's what you can, you can actually you can set up multiple profiles. Do it for your kids. Start teaching your kids how to do it. Set them up a profile. This thing will do thousands of profiles. Set their own profile up. Let them teach them how to do this day one. Change their life. Okay, anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Right back here in the back. Can you teach? I would certainly think so, yes. I'd do it. Teach them, they'll understand what they can understand, and as time goes along, they'll understand the rest of it. But they'll start getting the concepts and principles and ideas in their head at 12 years old. That's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Are we out of time? Good you guys on the internet joined us. We're glad you were here, and I hope this thing, look, our goal is this blesses you and changes your life. Amen? God bless you guys.